Hi everyone, and welcome to my review of Frozen in 2013. Of course, here we are with this film, the 53rd Disney animated feature film, despite what it says on the spine and on the back. It says the 52nd. Not sure, if they're missing one out here or something, but yeah, it is the 53rd animated feature film by Disney, directed by Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee. So yes, always wanted to see this. When it came out, of course, it got 2 Oscars, for song and animated feature film, I believe. And yes, I think it is, hated on. Let's not beat around the bush. It's hated on at times. It's called, that word that is thrown around quite a lot. But yeah, I think as well it's quite some offensive stuff. Like it's a girly film, which you won't be hearing me saying that, on this, because I think that's just a stupid thing to ever say. Anyone can enjoy any film, and it's annoying. But I of course. I never got round to seeing it for whatever reason. I always wanted to see this, but it's just a case of I finally got the Blu-ray now. Of course, wonderful slipcover here, nice and shiny. And yes, this film, of course, it's basically it's one of the revival age films. Of course, Tangled, of course, all these films, Moana. So it's kind of definitely a comeback. I will say it now. From the 2000s kinds of films. Definitely the low point, including of course Chicken Little, which is for me the worst Disney film of these, official ones, that I can remember, or at least I've seen. So yes, not a fan of that. But these films are a callback as well in terms of the stories. This is of course based off of the Snow Queen, Hans Christian Andersen tale. It is a return to more traditional kind of fairy tale, stories and stuff. So yeah, in that sense, in the kind of the ideas there and the overall approach in that sense. 2 thumbs up from me, because I love this sort of stuff more than, yeah, as I say, the kind of 2000s ones. Just really, really, kind of technology taking over, I feel, and not feeling authentic, or kind of like, fantasy works and stuff. Definitely the low point from what I've seen, in terms of the Disney's, even the Dark Age has definitely some redeeming films. But yes, this film, of course, Revival Age. Now it's 2013, and yes, of course. It's a popular film in terms of, it's I think it's the 13th highest grossing film of all time, not adjusted for inflation. The highest grossing for adjusted for inflation has gone with the wind, actually. But yeah, this one is definitely very loved by some. It done amazing, of course. Got loads at the box office, and yes, critically, very very praised. Of course, and yeah, it has got its haters. Definitely has so. I kind of always wondered why that was. But I've heard so many criticisms chucked around about this film. A lot of them are stuff, that I would never, accept as a valid criticism. To call this film girly and just childish in that sense, it's just really not valid for me. That's not criticism of the film. I went in to watch this without any sort of bias and stuff. I just wanted to see if it was a good film. If it was, definitely, if it was worthy of, of its acclaim and stuff like this. But just to see what it's like. Of course, I do want to check out all these Disneys. Of course, there's 57 now. So yes, there is a sequel coming out this year as well, which I want to see. This film, I think it's definitely. I'm not going to say overrated and all this kind of stuff. It's not as good as some say. For me personally, I didn't connect with it on that level. I don't think it's overall a great film actually. But I do think, again, I'm not at the side where I think it's a bad film at all. I actually think it's actually a very good film. Definitely some greatness in there. Nothing, genius or masterful and nothing like that. I can't praise the film in that. Not even the visuals. I wouldn't call them masterful. But at times definitely great. But yeah, I think very good film. It starts off with a really really good 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes when they're kids. Of course, these 2 sisters, Anna and Elsa, and of course, Elsa, of course, becomes a queen, and her sister is Anna, and things happen. I'm not going to get into the whole plot, but yes, basically things happen, and eventually that leads to Anna, going in search of Elsa, who kind of leaves home and stuff, and it causes things, involving her magic for the kingdom to become, Arendelle, to become trapped in a kind of a long winter, of course, harsh conditions, all frozen over kind of thing. Frozen. And yes, basically, it is a tale about two sisters, you know, coming together, and of course family, you know, is portrayed in the first sort of 20 minutes. Yeah, I think we'll say it now. The first 20 minutes after the first five, you know, it really was disappointing. You know, I was thinking, oh no, you know, I hope the whole film is not like this. The songs, now, it did win, of course, the Oscar for Best Song for Let It Go. And, you know, I'm not going to say, you know, it's a bad song because it's been played on the radio and all this kind of stuff. That doesn't mean anything. Is it a good song? Actually, I do really, really like the song. That song. Now, the rest of the songs, a lot of them, especially early on, are actually kind of bad, in my opinion. Just from my sort of, you know, personal opinions about music and stuff, and just my overall taste and everything. What I would consider, you know, good songs. I don't think a lot of these are. I think they're quite annoying. The way that, you know, I love musicals. Sometimes when they kind of they organically go, you know, into songs, and of course they mix in kind of just, you know, normal words into the songs. But in this case, some of that, you know, it just kind of doesn't work. And yes, just overall, some of this, it just contributes to stuff that feels a bit forced, you know, and it just doesn't quite work. In fact, I feel the whole kind of, I'm being very specific here, of course, from 5 minutes to around about 25 minutes, this stuff is average at best, and it really lets the film down. It is only 100 minutes. I have to kind of, you know, be honest, of course, you know, and it really does. It just feels very, very, yeah, rushed, generic, quite annoying. And Hinds, of course, the character, is basically the love interest early on to Anna. You know, I think, yeah, it was kind of interestingly built up, you know, with them, and you know, it was kind of like this awkward, you know, comedy involved in the romance. But then, you know, straight after that, they break into a song. Just moments like this, it's just very, very, it doesn't quite work for me. You know, I was thinking, I hope the film isn't going to go on, you know, for this long. Like in this manner. Of course, I'd never seen Frozen before, so I didn't know what to expect. And yes, you know, luckily, it really, really picked up, actually, after this. And, you know, it turned it into a film that I really, really liked. Although I did, you know, after this, it's no masterpiece still. You know, it's definitely definitely flawed. But again, I do think there's a lot to like here, a lot to love actually, potentially. You know, there was definitely I really liked the characters once they kicked in. Of course, Christoph, basically a mountaineer. You know, he's the real, you know, love interest for Anna. You know, for most of the film. His reindeer, of course, Sven. And yes, it's really, really, you know, good dynamics here. Yes, it does kind of play off very, very similar to Tangled. You know, of course, many people have compared Tangled to this and saying that they're basically ripping it off in terms of the character designs and all this kind of stuff. Yes, I can see it is very, very similar. For me, Tangled is a far superior film. That was a truly great animated film. This one doesn't compare, but on its own right, you know, I'm not going to, you know, compare too much. It's definitely some really good characters, the motivations, the comedy. Now, the comedy does not work in that 20-minute mark, as I've mentioned, but it does mostly work after that. Of course, the snowman Olaf, you know, he comes into the film, and a really good side character, very charming and funny, and yeah, it just adds a lot of enjoyment to the film. Now, Elsa, you know, she's a character who, of course, is on the front, you know, of the Blu-ray cover and, you know, all the posters, you know, but she's actually, I found, you know, not really too big in the film at times. Of course, Anna is really our protagonist, and Anna is a much better character. There is times, early on especially, where I didn't really care too much for Elsa, and even, you know, as there was a kind of really, really good childhood sequence, you know, to kind of kickstart the film, I still didn't feel too much at first for Elsa, but again, around that 30-minute mark, we have Let It Go. This is when, of course, this is one of the, you know, the iconic moments. You know, of course, it's the song that got the best Oscar, you know, original song. And yeah, so I really thought this was actually an epic moment. Yeah, I really, really liked it. You could say I loved it. That whole scene, and actually within the context of the story, it's really, really good. And just, you know, it's really the way it builds and the way, of course, the castle was built. It's just an epic moment. It really is, and one of the standouts of the film. And, you know, definitely, you know, from then on, it picks up, as I say. There is some slight lulls, ever so slightly flatness, you know, in the last actors of the film, but the very ending of the film it picks up again. But yeah, I think you basically the middle of the film is the best. The kind of the adventure that they go on, these characters, and just all the character development, and the dynamics and stuff, and the comedy is at its heights here. It's definitely really works. I really like this romance, of course, between Christoph and Anna. Really enjoyable, and something I could get behind. Root for these characters. Very strong characters here, and even the sidekicks. The reindeer, of course, Ven. Really good. Even if it is a bit similar to Tangled and stuff. But yeah, I think the visuals. I think they are quite wonderful at times. As I say, I don't think that it's masterful in its visuals overall. It's not some of the very best, Disney animation that I've seen personally. In terms of everything, in terms of the sense of atmosphere, the overall charm to it. Yeah, I do love some of these, later Disney works in terms of their animation. But for me, a lot of the best ones, from the Golden Age or some of the Renaissance films and stuff like that. In terms of Disney, this full-on kind of CGI animation. It's just at times it doesn't allow it to reach the heights that quite a lot of Disney films can. The sense of wonder comparable, in comparison, is not there, for me personally, and just the overall how it makes me feel and stuff. Certainly early on, it didn't really feel like a Disney film, actually. I actually felt that 20 minutes, as I say, is more like a product, and I don't, despite what loads of people say about Disney, I don't associate Disney with that. I've always thought they're really, trying to make films that are human, not the products, I think just pure art. This film, early on, did not feel like that. The rest of the film, it kind of felt, a bit kind of like a product. Mostly it did actually, really try to tell a lovely story. It's very heartwarming at times. This relationship between the two sisters, it's very well done. And of course, it's very charming, especially in the middle of the film. All the comedy, some of the songs, in the middle of the film are actually good. But, do you want to be a snowman and all this kind of stuff? The early ones, wow. I do think some of these are bad, actually, the Snowman song, early on, I don't think it's a good song, personally. I think it's actually quite bad. I was disappointed with the way it played out in the film as well. But again, some of the songs are definitely good. Let It Go is pretty amazing, actually, the way it's done in the film. And yes, the score is the thing that really, kind of holds the overall soundtrack together. The score is actually very good. At times it's great. It really is a very beautiful score. And it moves the film along, really wonderfully at times. I think it's a very good film. It nears into the good mark, but I think definitely has, and it definitely has some flaws, as I say. But yes, a very good film. Overall, definitely enjoyable. I really liked it overall. The ending was very nice. But again, and I don't like to do this, but I do think I can't quite understand how this was so popular. All these kind of reviews and these quotes, just very baffling to me. Example, the best songs from Disney, better than The Lion King. Yeah, questionable in my opinion, but yeah, and just kind of one of the best Disneys of all time and stuff. The best Disney princess. I don't quite get this, but I'm not going to contest it. That's just opinions. I do think it's not something I feel like I absolutely adore the film and say it's really worthy of getting these accolades as you will. But again I'm fine with that. It's fine. I'm not really taking it to heart, but it is definitely a charming film. It does have some sense of wonder to it. But again, I do think it's let down by the first act of the film mostly, and some of the attempts, comedy throughout the rest of the film, mostly they work, but some attempts, again, do fall short. There's also a twist, involving one of the characters in the film. I won't say which, and it's just I felt that's a bit cheap. There is some fakeness in this. I don't think it's all sincere. But overall, definitely because of how much greatness there is in there, in terms of the visuals, some of the characters definitely, and just the overall adventure feel, especially in the middle of the film, really, really allows this film to be called very good for me. I'd have to give it an 82%. Just it would have been great, maybe. If just the first act had been as good as the rest of the film, and of course, if it had kind of made a more just the character of Elsa, as I say, definitely room for improvement, definitely so, but the way it comes together at the end is actually quite wonderful. It really comes together in terms of the themes of family, of course, and love as well. It's very simple at times, and it gets across the feelings very, very well. And of course, no denying the visuals are definitely really, really impressive here. Not some of the best, like it's been praised to be, but yeah, I think that and the score and just the overall the characters, the main characters, yeah, I'm definitely I'm not gonna deny that they're really, really good, mostly. And Anna, at times a great character. Christoph, really, really good in this film, and of course some of the side characters as well. And yeah, I think yes, is this one of the best? No, it's not. And it does definitely slightly pale in comparison to some of the greater ones in terms of the world building. That's the thing, it's definitely a beautiful world they portray, but it's not a one that really has a truly fantastical feel. I think that's to do with some of the approach to the animation, but again, just the overall the storytelling. That's just the thing. But I definitely think, despite the flaws I'm giving it, and stuff, and saying it's not one of the very best, I think that's just because there's so many great Disney ones out there. Ones that I do feel, are masterpieces. This is not one of them. I do have issues with it, mainly early on, certainly, and that's just the thing. It's just a shame. It did feel like a product early on, but again, it did pick up massively. This really turned around to be a film that I really, really enjoyed overall. It does have some cringy moments, as I say, early on, but yeah. Apart from this and some of the things that just don't quite allow it to reach its potential, I do think it's really, really impressive. It has greatness in there. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely, I love the romance. I really liked overall the warmth of these characters, the humour in a lot of the film really, really worked for me. Thumbs up for that. And yeah, of course, a couple of the songs very, very good, especially of course Let It Go. I'm not going to say that's a bad song. I really like the song, and the way, of course, when you actually see it in the film, it's a lot better than just hearing it randomly. It really, really works. It's an epic moment, and yeah, I just think as well the way that it kind of deals with the chakras of having powers and stuff. That's another thing. Really, really impressive stuff. I loved how that tied into the emotions, and the kind of the conflict with the two sisters, and again, because it was really, really well set up with the as they were children, that really contributed to that, and the way I felt something throughout the film with that. But yeah, definitely I really liked it. In terms of rankings, I'll probably put it, from my enjoyment, above Hunchback of Notre Dame, possibly Hercules. But yeah, apart from that, and the ones below that, I think it's not in the top 10 or anything Disney's. But yes, very enjoyable film with some greatness in there. Really liked it, of course. But yes, not as I say, one of the best. But yes, reviewed. Definitely recommend the film, of course. I don't see how this is definitely it's definitely hated on times. I don't see that. But again, I'm not quite sure why as I say, I'm slightly in between, but I definitely really, really enjoyed the film. An 82% from me is very impressive. But yes, reviewed Frozen, of course. Here we are, finally, and yes, thanks for watching my review.